And when would it not be okay to take a vitamin D supplement?
See, if you have some kind of classic diseases wherein your kidney functions are not proper, that's when if you take vitamin D, what happens is your amount of calcium which is being metabolized decreases, and it can lead to kidney stones. So if you have kidney, your renal function is not proper, that's when you need to consult with your healthcare provider before taking vitamin D supplements. And then you have some, classic diseases like maybe histoplasmosis or sarcoidosis, or maybe hyper, parathyroidism. That's when taking vitamin D is something you should do after talking to your healthcare provider. And then there are some certain medications which is contradicted with vitamin D, like diltiazem, verapamil, you know, uh, so maybe even atorvastatin. So what happens is when you take this, the excretion of the calcium from the body, the metabolism of calcium kind of decreases a little bit, which might lead to kidney stones. So those are a few of the areas where you need to discuss with your healthcare provider before going on a sustained vitamin D supplement use.
Yeah, as you say, it's very important to take upon a healthcare provider who knows exactly when to take, what to take, how much to take. Yes. Could you, Ahmed, could you please explain the difference between vitamin D2 and D3?
Vitamin D2 is the inactive form of vitamin D in general, which is coming from a plant-based ergocalciferol. Vitamin D3 is the active form, which is cholecalciferol, that doesn't need activation, that is really immediately active and binding to vitamin D receptors in the body. So vitamin D3 doesn't need activation, is the active form, and which is really easier to, let's say, to get activated in the body because it's immediately active. It's helpful to get vitamin D3, and it's less, if I would say, it's less toxic, and the threshold of toxicity is less in vitamin D3, the cholecalciferol one.
So it's better to take vitamin D3 over vitamin D2.
Yeah.
But what if you are a vegan, vegetarian?
I don't have a call here, it's not my call, but at the end of the day, this is a medicine. So the origin of the medicine itself, I really don't have a call here for people who are vegetarian or not. But at the end of the day, cholecalciferol, I don't know exactly what's the origin for the API for pharmaceutical companies that manufacture it, but it could be manufactured not from animal origin.
Is that it manufactures from the wool of the sheep?
Chemical. I'm not sure exactly is it coming from animal or not, but if it's chemically produced, this is something else.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And we're talking about supplements, but of course it's much better to get the vitamin D out of food. So could you give some examples where we can find vitamin D in what kind of food?
So cod liver oil is something which we have all taken, once in a while. That's high in vitamin 3. You have mushrooms. You have fatty fishes, whether it's salmon, whether it's hilsa, whether it's tuna, which is high in vitamin D. And then you will have some fortified foods. Milk also has decent amount of vitamin D. So this is beef liver also has a lot of vitamin D. So these are specifically the foods which we need to take for vitamin D here.
Okay, thank you. And for you, Ahmed, why should people with dark skin take a vitamin D supplement?
Yeah, because actually the level of activation of vitamin D is not the same like people with lighter skins. So at the end of the day, they are not having the same level of vitamin D active in their skins. So and the same that what has been mentioned at the beginning of the presentation of the discussion. Melatonin doesn't activate vitamin D. The high levels of melatonin doesn't activate vitamin D. So this is a risk factor that they need to be aware of, and to have a more keen supplementation of vitamin D, especially the active one, the cholecalciferol. or a vegan, the ergocalciferol one.
Yeah. For you, another question. The correlation between vitamin D with calcium, with vitamin K2, magnesium. To explain that?
Yeah, I think a lot of us, we see that if you are calcium deficient, we end up taking calcium supplements. But what we don't realize is vitamin D plays a major role in the absorption of calcium in the body. So what happens is, if uh, your vitamin D levels are low, your calcium ions in the body goes down, and the parathyroid gland, which typically has the calcium receptors, what it does it reads it, and it releases the parathyroid. You know, uh, so what it tries to do then is that the parathyroid hormone, it dissolves the bone matrix to release the calcium ions into the extracellular space, because as per its reading, you are not able to absorb calcium. Now, what it leads to is osteoporosis, which then leads to weakening of your bone structure. So, if you see calcium deficiency, a majority of it, there has been studies where it says that 70 to 80% of calcium deficient people are actually deficient in vitamin D. So it's imperative again that when we are deficient in something, we are looking into the other parameters to understand and go to the actual root cause of why this deficiency is occurring. Because even if we are taking calcium supplements, it won't really help us, because if there's a vitamin D deficiency, the calcium absorption would probably be 10 to 15% of whatever is available.
Yes. And it's so important that we realize that if we have a deficiency of calcium, like you said, it's not that we need to drink milk or take the calcium supplements, but we need vitamin D and we need vitamin K2, because vitamin K2 is making two proteins so that we can transport the calcium into the bones. And we need magnesium to make it able to absorb it. So that's why I think one of also the reasons is that we have such a huge deficiency of vitamin D, because we are lack of the micronutrients. That's what Don was talking about last night. So we really need to take the supplements nowadays, unfortunately, because it's not that much in our food anymore. So, but not only take a vitamin D, but combine it with a vitamin K2, so it goes directly into your bones, and take it with a magnesium so that your body can absorb the vitamin D and do something with it. Another question is, I'm not sure if you read the question, so hopefully, otherwise I'll answer it. About DNA testing, what do you think about that? DNA testing for vitamin D. Should we consider doing that more often, so we can see if we have a predisposition for a vitamin D deficiency?
So actually, vitamin D deficiency, as far as I know, I didn't read the question, but I'm just reading generally, and maybe in our industry we are much more involved and exposed in the precision medicine generally. And there is, as far as I understand, I would like to learn also from you, from your readings, if you have gone through this. But as far as I know, that vitamin D deficiency, as long as it's not organic from lack of absorption, it's not inherited. So there is no inherited, let's say, trait or organic disorder that leads to vitamin D deficiency. But as we learn from the medicine, we get to know. So gene mapping and DNA sequencing is really helpful to do more tailored precision medicine and more tailored diagnostic tools to understand the diseases before they happen. But nothing so far is relevant and pinpointing to fight off vitamin D deficiency so far, as I know. That's my understanding.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, well, I'm working with a DNA company in the Netherlands, so that's why I know it's possible to look into your genes and see if you have indeed a predisposition for the deficiency of vitamin D. It's not that you will have a deficiency of vitamin D, but it's for you that you will have it quicker than someone else to have a vitamin D deficiency. So it's another tool to find out, you know, if you have a gene predisposition for vitamin D deficiency, you already can take a supplement, so you know that you won't get a deficiency. What's your intake about that?
Yeah, I have read a few articles of what you said, but then again, my knowledge on the DNA sequencing part of it for vitamin D is limited. I have read a couple of articles, but I just wanted to know that it is being, now that you are working closely with that DNA company, uh, how is it being used in Netherlands? Like, are a lot of people using it?
Well, it's new in the Netherlands actually, and so we're just starting it up. But it gives so many results, not only vitamin D, but vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin A, the MTHFR gene, and that one is very important because if you have a predisposition of that gene is not functioning very well, it means that the homocysteine in your body is accumulating. So that can cause so many diseases and pain in your body. And that means that you have to take the vitamin B12, you have to take the folate. So it's possible, and some other vitamin Bs, so it can get out of your system. So that's why I'm a huge fan of DNA testing, because we can find out what's going on in your system, what's your predisposition about it, so you can take action. Yeah. And the last question we have 6 minutes. I don't know if you know anything about the emotional part of a vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
Why do we have it?
Yeah. Vitamin D plays a role in the CNS, and this role is multidimensional, especially with dopamine and acetylcholine. So vitamin D is mainly, and I know mainly the role that it plays physiologically and not psychologically. So it's a neuroprotective agent that protects the axons of the nerves, and it's a neurotrophic agent, which actually increase the dopamine levels. So psychologically, we can expect that it improves the mood, and reduces the acetylcholine levels. So that's another part. It plays an important role also in stabilizing the neurotransmitters, which reflects on the Parkinson's disease improvement. And there has been reported several reports on the improvement of Parkinson's disease treatment outcomes with vitamin D versus without. And by the way, the same applies also to mothers taking vitamin D during the pregnancy, and the neuroprotection that happens to their offsprings versus mothers who are not taking vitamin D. So that's the physiological role that I'm aware of regarding vitamin D.
Do you know the emotional part?
Yeah, so a few of the studies I have read about is that vitamin D deficiency does cause depression, anxiety, and with what Ahmed is saying, this probably connects the dots because physiologically, if they are neuroprotective, then a deficiency will physiologically eventually lead to depression, anxiety, and all the CNS disorders which we nowadays see. So yeah, so I have read a few articles about it, but then with Ahmed explaining the neuroproductiveness, I think the dots are well connected.
Okay, then I'm gonna explain a bit about the emotions, because for my belief, every disease starts with an emotion and nutrition. If you have the feeling, and then I come back to the panel we had here before about trauma. If you have a trauma that's not solved, if you have the feeling that you are not good enough, if you have the feeling that people are after you, if you have the feeling that you're not able to be who you really are, also causes a deficiency of vitamin D. So it's not only on the physical side, but it's also an emotional part, what's very important. And I think no doctor looks at the emotional part of it, and that's very important. We have 3 minutes left. Are there any questions? Yes, Dom, I thought you would be there. Can we have the mic on the floor, please?
Is it on? So I heard at the beginning about sunscreen lotions and sun causing cancer. That's not true. Sun has very, very little effect in causing
Can
the
you
skin
repeat
cancer.
it again?
At the beginning, there was mention about sunscreen and sun causing the cancer.
Sorry, your mic is still not functioning.
Okay. So at the beginning, there was mention that sun is causing the cancer. That's actually not true. It has very, very small amount of effect in getting the cancer. What is actually causing the skin cancer is sunscreens. Because five main ingredients of sunscreens exposed to the sunlight are causing the skin cancer. One of the examples, just Google retinol palmitate and what happens with that ingredient, which is main ingredient of all sunscreens when you apply it on the skin.
Yes, I totally agree with that. It's not the sun that creates cancer, that we get cancer of. It's the sunscreen. And I won't say every sunscreen, because we do have very natural sunscreen. Coconut oil, for instance, is a very natural sunscreen oil. So that's what we can use. But I get your point. You're right about that one.
We also talked here about supplements, but nobody mentioned how do you know does supplement actually work for you? Is it healthy for you? Because if any supplement, when you take it, changes color or smell of your urine, it's actually toxic for your body and you shouldn't be taking it. Because this is your liver's reaction on cleaning the toxins from the body that you took as that supplement. So you need to be
Anyone wants to refer to that?
Yeah, I cannot say or claim that any pharmaceutical product is toxic for the body, because these products, before being approved, they passed all the classes or all the phases of phase 1 and 2 and 3 of the clinical trials before getting approved to go to the market, which are efficacy and safety and tolerability studies before getting approved. So these are proven to be effective and safe before going to be ingested by a human. So rest assured that these are safe. Yes, there are some side effects, but these benefits outweigh the risks. Yeah, there should be side effects, but for such supplements specifically, the benefits much outweigh the risks. So get the benefits and forget about the risks.
Also, if I may add, not all human body reacts to the same supplements in a similar way. There might, of course, be some individuals who reacts to some supplements in a different way. And when they do, I think the best course of action is to uh, contact your healthcare provider. And if there are any adverse events for any supplements, do report those, because organizations like us, we are the ones who then take those ahead and do the signaling and the risk management part of it.
But I do understand your question. There are a lot of supplements on the market that are rubbish, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, and most of them are not regulated because most of the supplements in Europe don't need to be regulated. You just create a supplement, this helps with this, and that's it. Because they are not treated as medication, so there's no special treatment for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, please stay away from the supplements, yes. And I would recommend going through the medicines that are regulated by the authorities.
And one more thing, there was a question about vitamin source for vegan. Between 10 and 2 p.m., 20 to 30 minutes on the sun, sunbathing, no baths or showers 6 hours later, because that will take the body's ability to absorb the vitamin D that's produced on the skin.
I'm sorry, you spoke so quickly and it's not really clear what you said.
So I said to get the vitamin D, the best thing is to do 20 to 30 minutes on direct sunlight, sunbathing between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the sun is the strongest, and not taking a bath or shower afterwards, because that gives your body ability to absorb the vitamin D that's produced on the top of your skin.
Yes, you're right about that.
And one more thing about the mushrooms. When you buy the mushrooms in the store, place them outside on the sunlight, because that will increase the vitamin D content in them.
Thank you so much. The screen is red. That means that our time is up. So I want to thank you all. Oh, one more question.
Hi, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this panel discussion.
Please speak up because I can't hear you.
I really enjoyed this panel discussion. I think it was you touched on the very crucial things. I would like to add one thing. I was waiting for it. That is a little bit slipped. Either or I missed it. So of course
We can't hear you.
You cannot hear me.
No.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much for a great discussion. I was waiting for, we were talking about like accentuating effects. We're talking about calcium and how that affects deficiency, right? As well as we were talking about the secondary problems with osteoporosis and things like that. But I think one thing that was slipping here a little bit was that specifically for women in menopause, that you have a significant factor in vitamin D deficiency. There is also the menopause, and I'm talking then, of course, about lack of estrogen. So that is also a major factor that wasn't mentioned. I just wanted to say that because that's, we're getting older and older. That includes women. So, yeah, that is a major factor in osteoporosis together with calcium.
Thank you so much for that. I want to thank Maxine.
Oi?
Yes,
See?
you. Because you have done an amazing job the last 3 days, and we were really happy and proud to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor.
Yes, and I want to thank, yes, a big applause. And also, please, a big applause for the cameraman, the video man, the music, for everyone. And to be honest, the staff around here in the hotel, everyone was so kind and sweet. So I really enjoyed staying here. It was really fun. And I want to thank you all as an audience to stick till the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, panelists. I'm going to ask you one final time to take a step to the front of the stage and let's get a group photograph.